What's up, everybody? So we're down to two games left in the college football season. One of them really doesn't matter. It's a Texas Bowl. It matters for two teams, LSU and Kansas State. Other than that, it really don't matter to anybody. That game is actually going to be today. I think between those two teams, Kansas State is probably the better team. And looking at SEC's bowl season this year, it's not looking good. And LSU hasn't been that good this season either. So I think Kansas State is going to come in here into the Texas Bowl and beat LSU. Big? Maybe not. Close? Possibly. Nobody really knows. But I think Kansas State is going to get that win. But the game that matters, January 10th, the College Football Playoff National Championship game presented by AT&T. It's the number 3 Georgia Bulldogs and the number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide. Yes, you heard me right. That is a rematch of the SEC Championship game that Georgia pretty much just crapped the bed in. Their defense just wasn't the same defense as it was all season long. How you do that, I'll never know. I don't know. But I'll go over that game in just a second. First, all of these bowl games have been played. All of them but one. We've had some big wins, some big losses. Speaking of big losses, Music City Bowl. Absolute bullcrap. Absolute bullcrap. Tennessee and Purdue. Tennessee should have won that game. They did win that game. The fourth down call in overtime for Tennessee when the forward progress was stopped and the whistle was irrelevant. Yeah, that's bullcrap. My personal opinion, I think that rule needs to be rewritten. Or take it all out. Forward progress doesn't mean anything. If player runs forward and is stopped and moved backwards, then his forward progress is stopped. But if a player runs and he gets stopped, but he's still fighting for one more yard, I'm sorry, that's not forward progress stopped. I'm sorry. Wright was running. He got to the 1 yard line, got to the goal line, was stood up, and as he was falling, his shin, his leg, his knee, nothing was ever on the ground. He stretched the ball out across the goal line and scored a touchdown. The whistle blew after he reached the ball out. They reviewed it. They said his forward progress was stopped. The whistle means nothing. Since when does a whistle not mean anything? So next time I see a player fumble the ball and somebody else pick it up and run and the whistle's blowing, just keep running. Screw it. The whistle means nothing. That's just me. Purdue ended up winning that game 48-45 in overtime. Tennessee got screwed out of another one. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, that rant's over. So let's go on here. All the other bowl games were won lost by teams, obviously. The semifinals, the Cotton Bowl between Cincinnati and Alabama, nobody thought this game was going to be competitive. I was hoping it would be more competitive than it was, considering Cincinnati fans, Cincinnati team, everybody who's looking at Cincinnati says they should be in the college playoff. I think Cincinnati was just overrated, honestly. And for them to go up against Alabama, I didn't think Cincinnati was going to win. Again, I was hopeful that they would, but I didn't think they would. Alabama came in there, and it was looking good at first for Cincinnati. It was 7-3. Cincinnati would move the ball, and then after they moved that ball score one time, it's like they couldn't remember how they did it all the way until the start of the third quarter when they moved the ball again and got another field goal. That final score was 27-6. Alabama just kind of had their way. and they're moving on to the national championship. The Orange Bowl, Georgia and Michigan. I thought that game was going to be more competitive too because, Michigan's number 2. They're coming off a huge win against Ohio State. They're coming off a Big Ten championship win over Iowa. Georgia was coming off a loss, but apparently Georgia's playing angry, so they took their anger out on Michigan, and now they're going to get their chance again at Alabama. And they better bring their A game this time, because I do not want to see another SEC championship blowout. I don't. Especially not in a national championship. Between the best 2 teams, no way. No way. Yeah, you may say Georgia's ranked number 3, Alabama's number 1. I mean, I don't think Alabama should be number 1 anyway, but I'm not even going to get on that rant. You say Alabama's number 1. Yeah, they're the best team in the nation. Georgia's number 3. They're obviously not the best. Michigan was number 2. Yeah, well, Georgia's number 3, but that's only because they lost to Alabama. Other than that, it should be Alabama number 1, Georgia number 2, honestly, in my opinion. And Georgia basically showed that they are still the best team in the nation. That final score was 34-11. Michigan they didn't have a chance from the get-go. Georgia jumped out to a 21-0 lead. This is what I'm talking about whenever I talk about the playoff game should be better. There shouldn't be these 27-6 blowouts. There shouldn't be these 34-11 blowouts. If you're going to have the 4 best teams in the nation play for a national championship, I think you should have the 4 best teams. Just because when I look at college football playoff games, I don't see blowouts. I don't see these big wins for one team. I see back and forth, battling it out football games. I've said it ever since 2015, since the first one, because Ohio State destroyed Oregon in a national championship game. Alabama has destroyed everybody that they've played in the semifinal game, except for Ohio State whenever they got beat that 1 year or 2 years. Whatever. Notre Dame, every time they get in the playoffs, they get destroyed and blown out. Cincinnati argued with everybody, saying that we should be in the top 4, we should be in the playoff, we should be playing for a national championship, and they got blown out. Michigan, the same thing. They were talking about it. They said if we can beat Ohio State, we're going to be right where we need to be. If we beat Iowa, we're definitely going to be there. And they go and crap the bed. 34-11 is not a semifinal playoff game for me. 27-6 is not a college football semifinal game to me. If Alabama was going to win, I think it should have been 27-24. Same thing with Georgia. 34-31 would be cool. 34-33, 35-34. Something closer. And I think that's one reason why I believe the college football playoff should go from 4 teams to at least 8, 12, 16. One of those 3. You don't need to make it extravagant. You don't have to make it crazy. You don't have to change bowl games up. Honestly, just get rid of the bowl games all in general, because they really don't matter. If you look at any of the stadiums for either of these bowl games that have been played, how full are they? How full are they? I think the fullest one that I seen was apparently the Tennessee game, because they were in Nashville. It was a home game for Tennessee. There was 102,000 people strong in that stadium. But other than that, there were a lot of empty seats in a lot of these bowl games. I'd say like 90% of them, there were more empty seats than there were people. And then you look at the semifinal games, there were empty seats, but it wasn't like all the other bowl games. People don't want to watch the bowl games. People want to watch the games that are being played for championships. I mean, granted, the semifinal games were being played on December 31st. There were 2 other bowl games before them. There were supposed to be 3, but the Arizona Bowl got canceled due to COVID reasons. Stupid. So for people to go to the semifinal games and to go to the bowl game, it's impossible. Now you may say that it was only Cincinnati and Alabama fans, or it could just be all Alabama fans because Cincinnati knew they were going to get blown out. I don't believe that for 1 second, because watching Cincinnati fans all season long, yeah, they wanted to be here. And Cincinnati fans, when they got what they wanted, they were all going to show up and they were going to do their thing. They were going to hope for a win. Bowl games just don't mean anything to anybody. There were so many different teams with opt-outs, whether it be for getting ready for next season or the NFL draft. The draft I can understand because you're about to go into the pros. You don't want to risk getting an injury before you get drafted. But next season, don't opt out. If you're a sophomore waiting for next season, don't opt out of the bowl game. Come on, it's your team. It's something that you all have played for all season long. Yeah, it's not exactly what you played for, but it is in the same sense. Because if you're one of these teams way down out of the top 25 to begin the season, it's going to be hard for you to get into the college football playoff. Especially if your team like, let's say, Maryland. We'll go with them. If you're a team that's the Maryland Terrapins and you're playing in the Big Ten, you've got Ohio State to play, you've got Michigan to play, Iowa to play, you're probably not going to make it to the college football playoff. And Maryland definitely did not. If you're a team like Air Force, you're in a weak conference, it's going to be incredibly hard for you to get to the playoffs. Iowa State, sure, they could be there, they could get close, but they still got Oklahoma to deal with. They still got Oklahoma State. There's a lot of these teams that play at the beginning of the season and they're thinking, hey, this could be our season to go to the playoffs, and then they get one loss and that's all it is. They get one loss and that's the last you hear of them. Houston was that team. They got pretty far up into the rankings. They got one loss. You never heard from them again up until the American Athletic Conference Championship game against Cincinnati. Oh, if Houston wins this game, Cincinnati's chances are gone, which isn't a lie, because if Houston could have won that, Cincinnati would have not been in the top 4 at all. It would have probably been Notre Dame at 4 playing against Alabama and getting blown out worse than 27-6. It's so sad looking at these bowl games and hearing about players opt out for different reasons. This season, COVID hit. Apparently, it takes out players in the last game. You got players opting out for the NFL draft. I can understand that. You've got players opting out just because they don't want to play in the bowl game. You got players opting out because they're just wanting to get ready for next season. Opt-outs are ridiculous. When I hear about that, I just want to... Because you've got people... Just say me, for example. You've got people like me who love the sport of football, who would love their chance to play in a big game like that. And then you see these college kids that quote-unquote love the game but don't want to play in the bowl game. Come on, really? You're just going to let your team down like that? I just can't get behind stuff like that. But anyway, rant's over. We've got 2 games left. I think Kansas State's going to beat LSU, unfortunately, in the Texas Bowl tonight. And then January 10th, you've got the national championship game between Georgia and Alabama. My hopes are that Georgia gets their stuff together and they actually beat Alabama. My prediction is It's going to be a great game, I hope. And Georgia's going to get a close victory. I don't know. Georgia just needs to not do anything that they did in the SEC Championship, because obviously that didn't work. So they need to take that, throw it in the trash, and figure out another game plan. Alabama can do what they did in the SEC Championship. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty at all. But whatever it was, it worked. And Alabama's the SEC champions, and now they're playing to become the national champions again. I'm pretty sure they won it last year too, didn't they? Yeah. Of course, they beat Ohio State last year. I don't think they should have been there either, because 5 games in a season over Texas A&M, who played, 7? Last year was a bunch of baloney, and we're going to get rid of that season. 2020 was just awful. But new year, new teams. Hopefully Georgia lives by that. It's 2022 now. The SEC Championship game happened in 2021. Don't even matter. Yesterday is in the past. 2021's in the past. For Georgia and Alabama, it should be a clean slate. They're going into this game with a record of 0-0. Period. I think Georgia should carry that and be like, hey, new year, we're a new team. We just beat Michigan, and that game don't even matter anymore. We've got one game. Georgia's been so close to winning national championships, but just haven't gotten it done. I'm pretty sure the last time they won a national championship was in 1980. That's the last time they finished the season undefeated. That's the last time they won the SEC championship. That's the last time they won a national championship, I think. I could be wrong, but 1980 is the year that Georgia fans keep talking about. 1980. Sounds like a bunch of Tennessee fans. 1998, we won an SEC. 1998, we won the national championship. 1998, we were undefeated. 1998. That's all I hear as a Tennessee fan. Y'all haven't been good since 1998. Yeah, well, just to each their own. But Georgia, they've gotten high hopes in the past and just blew it. Hopefully they're not riding into this game with high hopes. If you watch the end of the Orange Bowl against Michigan, the team was about to give Kirby Smart a Gatorade bath, like you normally see at every win that's a big win. And Kirby Smart said, no. We're not going to do this for this game. This game, we've got one more game left. We haven't done anything. We haven't won anything. So I think Kirby Smart's going to get this team going in the right direction, get them prepared for this national championship game. And he's going to keep them focused and ready to play a hard-fought game. If it's going to be a blowout, I hope it's not. There's no better way to say it. If Alabama wins this, I really want it to be close, and I hope it's going to be close. If Georgia wins, I hope it's a close game. As much as I'd like to see Georgia just drag Alabama up and down the field and just destroy them, I just hope it's going to be a good game. I hope it's going to be close. But, so, college football season, over. Bowl game, over. There's 2 left. Texas Bowl, LSU, Kansas State. Wildcats probably going to win that. And then national championship, Georgia, Alabama. Again, I hope that's going to be a good game. I hope it's going to be close. And I hope it's not going to be a blowout. I will be back right before the national championship game. Maybe not. I probably won't be, because obviously I don't post very often anymore. But I will be back to talk about the NFL playoffs, actually. Because I've got a team going into the playoffs there too. Hey, it's a win-win all around. But Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great holiday. We will see you at the National Championship game on January 10th. And we will see you down the road after that. Peace out. Love you guys.